as the maintainers or preservers of Israel, which was a what? A what? A nation. That's what that was. Okay, we all right? Okay, I'm off on that. The Nazarene party. What he had was a kind of united front. You had the Sadducean party, who were the conservatives. And they were going along with the status quo. This good white man, this Roman, has built this temple for us and did all this for us. And they would say to the zealots, and they would say to the Pharisees, y'all gonna make this white man mad if y'all keep this up. Then you had the Pharisees, who was something like the NAACP kind of in there, the civil rights movement type thing, you know. The Sadducees were the wannabes. But then you had the Panther Party and us, the zealots. Then you had a group within that, the Black Liberation Army, the underground Black Liberation Army, RAM, People's Revolutionary Action Movement. You know what I'm talking about, called the Sicarii. They were the dagger men, and anybody who snitched on the movement or betrayed the movement was met in the darkness and put to silence. Remind me of the necklaces. So he was trying to bring all of these different parties, and the Essenes, who were Buddhists, like they were just mystical, but they had something that was important. That's where he learned a lot of the healing arts from. So he had trying to pull all those parties together. And he had, if you look among his disciples, there was somebody represented from each one of those organizations, among the main 12. Is it in there? Tell you, if you got the keys, you can decipher it. Now, Jesus was not an integrationist. He wasn't an integrationist. How you know that, Shock? I'm going to Matthew, the 15th chapter, the 22nd to the 29th verse. Now, I know you've read this before, but I wonder if you paid attention to it. I'm speaking in generalities because I don't mean to sound like a know-it-all and that you don't know nothing and I'm telling you everything. I don't mean it that way. It's just a manner of speaking. I'm not arrogant about this at all. This is what the text says. And behold, a woman of Canaan. Now, in Mark, it says the woman was a Greek, which means she was a white woman, a Syrophoenician by nation. That's why she lived in the land of Canaan, but she was a Greek woman. She was a white woman who lived amongst a nation of black people, the Canaanites, who were a nation of black people. And behold, a woman of Canaan, or we should say a Greek, as Mark says, came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. Why was he called a son of David? Because he was in line for the what? Throne of David, the first king of Israel. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. He didn't pay any attention. He didn't answer the woman. You get the scenario here? And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. Why did they want him to send her? First of all, he had snuck in the city, if you read the earliest part of the text. He had snuck in the city, and he had told his disciples, don't tell anybody I'm the Messiah. Because if I proclaim this ahead of time, they're going to cut me off before I can get organized. So don't you tell anybody about this, right? So he's sneaking into the city with his cadre, and they're going to lay down some plans for some revolutionary action, and here this white woman, help me, help me. Jesus trying to slide, you know, come on, brother. She's still hiding. Disciples say, hey, Lord, you better do something about this. She's going to get us all busted. But them Roman soldiers over there starting to look at us and everything, man. Police going to bust us. But he answered and said, I am not sent. Listen to this. He answered, Shaka Musa ain't say this. Doc Ben ain't say this. Jack Felder ain't say this. Reverend Kennedy ain't say this. He said this, according to the New Testament. He answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's what the text said. I ain't got nothing for you. I didn't come here for you. But no, it's not through yet. Read on. Then she came and worshiped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. Let me read it again. He, Jesus, said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. And she said, truth, Lord, I am a dog. That's what she said, truth. Was she insulted? Did she say, why you call me a dog? No, I am. Truth. Yet the dogs eat of the crumbs that fall from their master's table. So to dress it up now, the apologist, Christian apologist who wrote this 70 years after Jesus was dead, said, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. And Jesus from thence came nigh unto the Sea of Galilee and went up into a mountain and sat down there. He had had enough. He had to go off in the mountain and meditate. After that, she wasn't going to let go. He was going to get busted, so he had to do something. But now look at the absolute turn in the text without even any indication as to why. He tells them, I'm sent only to my people, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and I'm not going to give the children's bread to the dogs, and then turns around and tells her, great is her faith. Now that's a contradiction right there, which shows you there's some editorial work going on. What did he tell his disciples? Listen, you read it. What did he say when he sent them out? What did he tell them not to go? Matthew the 10th chapter, the 5th to the 8th verse. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of Samaria enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go preaching, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. In other words, it's nation time. But now, brother, that meant people who weren't, let's go now. I'm not going to turn to it, but you write it down. You read it. 10th chapter of the book of Genesis. And it says in there, I believe it's about the 10th verse, but you read on there where it's given the genealogy of the nations. And it says that the sons of Japheth, where they went and stayed, was the place called the Isles of the Gentiles. And the sons of Japheth, they said, were the progenitors of the Caucasians, which they've always said. That was the Isles of the Gentiles. So he said, don't go in the way of the Gentiles. Don't go around and mess with them Greeks and them Romans and all that, but go only to the what? Lost sheep of the house of Israel. Take the message to your people. He was not an integrationist. According to this, he was. Number 7, you still with me? It won't be long now. Jesus was a black nationalist freedom fighter. I'm going to quote, you've heard me mention before, but I'm going to read it again. From Jesus and the Zealots by S.G.F. Brandon. If you got to leave, please stop at the table and get the tape. Book 2, if you can. S.G.F. Brandon, chapter 1, and he says, listen to this. This is a white theologian who teaches at Manchester University. This is something that white theologians study all the time. And they know this. And this is what it says. Ironic though it be, the most certain thing known about Jesus of Nazareth, the most what? Is that he was crucified by the Romans as a rebel against the government in Judea. We don't know anything else for sure, but we do know that. He said. Say why? The fact is recorded in the 4 Christian Gospels, and the execution on the order of Pontius Pilate is mentioned by the Roman historian Tacitus, writing early in the 2nd century. Because you can't just go with the Bible to prove the Bible now. You got to have some other documents of the time. And he said Tacitus and Suetonius and others wrote about him being crucified as a rebel against the government. He says the fact itself in terms of current Romano-Jewish relations in Judea was not particularly remarkable. The Jewish historian Josephus records numerous instances during the period concerned of the crucifixion of Jewish rebels by the Romans. That was the way they punished revolution.